We are back with chapter 79, The Designer. We're getting so close to seeing how this story of Roz and her son Brightbill ends. Roz awoke slowly. She was surprised to be waking up at all. The fall from the building should have destroyed her, and yet here she was. Everything was dark and silent. Was this where robots go when they die? No. Her systems activated and the real world came into focus. She saw white walls and floors, and she heard a hum of machinery in the background. Roz was somewhere inside the robot factory where she had been made. A pile of robot parts lay on the floor. The parts were smashed and mangled. It took a moment for Roz to realize she was looking down at her own broken body. It took another moment for her to realize that she was now nothing more than a robotic head. Her head was sitting atop an electric box that powered her computer brain. Roz still had her thoughts and her voice, but without a body, she couldn't move. So she sat there, completely helpless, and waited for the makers to appear. The makers did not appear. Instead, Roz heard soft footsteps, and an old woman appeared. She was elegant, with white hair and red lipstick and black clothes. Flowery perfume wafted behind her, and every detail about the woman was neat and precise, except for her fingers, which were smudged with dark grease. "Welcome back, Roz," said the woman, wiping her hands on a rag. "Here she is." I wasn't sure how I'd get your computer brain working again. You took quite a spill out there. How do you feel?" And Roz just stared. "You don't have to pretend anymore," said the woman. "I know you're not a normal robot. Everyone knows. You made that perfectly clear when you led the Reccos on that wild chase through the city." Roz remained silent. "I watched the video of the chase. I don't know how you got those pigeons to attack our airships, but I am more interested in that goose. You seem to be speaking with it. Can you explain this to me?" "The goose is my son," said Roz at last. "Is that so?" The woman arched an eyebrow. "Roz, I repaired your computer brain so I could talk with you. I want to know how you came to be this way. So let's talk. I'll begin by introducing myself. My name is Dr. Malavo, and a long time ago, I fell in love with computers and robots, and I created a company called Tech Lab Industries. Since then, millions of robots have been produced right here in the factory, and I've designed every last one of them." Dr. Malavo leaned forward. "Roz, I designed you." Chapter 80, The Beautiful Glitch. Deep inside the robot factory, Dr. Malavo was sitting with Rosum Unit 7134. Roz was now just a robotic head, but for the moment, her head was all she needed. The robot and the designer had many questions for each other, and they sat there for hours having conversations like these. "What happened to you on that island?" Dr. Malavo said. "Tell me everything." The robot told her everything. She described how she awoke on a rocky shore and how her only desire was to survive and how difficult life was in that harsh place. "To survive in the wild, I had to become wild," said Roz. "So I studied the animals, I mimicked their behavior, and eventually I learned to speak their language." "Incredible," said Dr. Malavo. "You're programmed to learn different languages, and you're programmed to work with animals, but I never imagined you could learn to speak with animals." "Although I could speak to the animals, they still did not trust me," said Roz. "So I tried to win them over with kindness. Animals ran from me and laughed at me and attacked me, and I always responded with kindness. It was a good strategy, but the real key to my survival came in the form of a gosling. When I adopted Brightbill, everything changed. I was finally accepted by the animals. I was surrounded by friends and family. I was home. Am I the only wild robot? Said Roz. I don't know, said Dr. Malavo. Many defective robots have been returned over the years. It's possible some were like you, until we destroyed them. Will you destroy me? The woman sighed. Roz, people are afraid of you. They saw you fleeing through the city and they think you're dangerous. They want to know that danger's gone. And so when we're finished speaking, I'll have to destroy you. I am not dangerous, said the robot. The part of my programming has never failed. Even if I wanted to be violent, I could not. Have you ever wanted to be violent? No, every problem has a peaceful solution. Violence is unnecessary. I wish it were that simple, said Dr. Malavo. It's an amazing time to be alive, but there is still crime, there are still wars, and some violence is unavoidable. Is that why you have the recos? Said Roz. The recos are designed to do all sorts of unpleasant jobs, and some of those jobs require the use of force. Do you ever worry they might use force against you? The recos have never given me a single reason to worry, said Dr. Malavo, but you have. How did you escape from Hilltop Farm? Dr. Malavo asked, leaning forward. Roz didn't answer. Let me guess, the children helped. And Roz just stared. They're not in any trouble. If I were them, I would have helped you too. They are good children, said Roz finally. And yet you left them, said Dr. Malavo. Leaving was not easy. I care about everyone on Hilltop Farm, and I did my best to look after them all, but I did not belong there. And when the children discovered who I really was, they agreed. They wanted me to go home, so they helped me escape. Why do I fear water? Why am I female? Why was my body designed this way? Why does my computer brain know things others and not others? Why? Dr. Malavo laughed. Why do you need all the answers? You programmed me to learn, said Roz. I am simply trying to learn about myself. The woman shifted in her seat. Those questions are more complicated than you realize. There are countless little considerations that go into designing any robot. I have to determine the robot's size and strength and appearance. I have to give the robot the proper programming and computer brain. I have to predict how people will react to the robot. I have to imagine everything that could possibly go wrong. But all of my decisions are guided by one single question. What is the robot's purpose? Quietly, Roz asked her designer, what is my purpose? I'm sorry to disappoint you, Roz, but you don't have some grand purpose. Like all other Rosum robots, you were designed to work for humans, and that's it. The robot thought for a moment, and then she said, I once suggested to a group of wild animals that my purpose might simply be to help others. The designer thought for a moment, and then she said, when you put it in that way, your purpose does sound rather grand, doesn't it? How would you feel if someone said you could never go home to your family? Asked Roz. Dr. Malavo smirked. Nobody would say that to me. I've spent my whole life creating robots. I've never had time for family. You created me, said Roz. In a way, I am your child and you are my mother. I am not your mother, said Dr. Malavo flatly. I am not your mother, repeated Roz. Those were my very first words to Brightbill. But I was wrong. The woman stroked her chin. Up on the rooftop before you fell, you were what were your very last words to Bright Bill? I told him I loved him. And how do you know your feelings are real? Said the woman. How do you know your feelings are real? How do you know your feelings are real? Said the robot. Your brain might be defective, said Dr. Malavo, but it is certainly fascinating. I did not choose to be this way, said Roz, but this is who I am. You would be wild too if you had been born and raised in the wilderness. Maybe I am defective. Maybe everything I have experienced is a result of a glitch. But if so, what a beautiful glitch. I have my own thoughts and feelings. I made a life for myself. I have a son. Bright Bill is somewhere out there right now, wondering if he will ever see his mother again. Dr. Malavo, you do not have to destroy me. You can fix me and I will return to my island and the city will never see me again. I promise. I just want to go home. Please help me. There were tears in Dr. Malavo's eyes. The old woman had heard enough. Without a word, she reached behind Roz's head. She pressed the button. Click. Chapter 81, The Meltdown. Throughout the city, humans stopped what they were doing and pulled out their electronic devices. Each screen was showing the same video of a defective robot's broken body. Rosm 7134 was etched into the torso. A blazing beam of light filled the picture, and the robot's parts turned bright orange. Then they began to melt. The limbs, the torso, the head. Everything melted. And in a flash, our robot was reduced to a puddle. Words appeared on the screen. The defective robot has been destroyed. Chapter 82, The Secret. Dr. Malavo lived in a luxurious apartment that was built right into the robot factory. Art and books and leather furniture filled the rooms. Classical music always seemed to be playing softly in the background. And as you might expect, she had a robot butler who cooked and cleaned and made sure everything was exactly as she liked it. Dr. Malavo's home was a comfortable place to grow old. The woman was standing in her living room, gazing at the city through a wall of windows, and the sky was cloudy, but her mind was clear. Destroying the Rosm unit was the correct thing to do. However, Dr. Malavo had a secret. A wooden door opened, and in walked the butler. He was carrying a limp robot in his arms. It was Dr. Malavo's newest creation, a special project she had been tinkering with for years, and this time had come to bring this robot to life. "Put her over there," said the woman. The butler carefully laid the robot upon soft cushions on a sofa, and then he turned and marched out the door. Dr. Malavo walked across the room, and she stared down at the robot for a while, admiring her own handiwork. And finally, she leaned in close and said, "Wake up, Roz." Chapter 83, The New Robot. The robot heard classical music. She smelled flowery perfume, and when her eyes opened, she saw a wrinkled face. "Hello again, Roz," said the old woman. "How do you feel?" "Hello again, Dr. Malavo. I feel different." "You are different. What have you done?" "I destroyed Rosm Unit 7134, said the woman. "That was the only way to make people feel safe again. What no one knows is I transferred your old mind into this new body. I could get in a lot of trouble for saving you, but I wasn't about to destroy a remarkable mind like yours." And the robot was speechless. There's Roz's new body. "You know, Roz, you should really be thanking me," said Dr. Malavo, arching an eyebrow. "Thank you," said Roz. "Thank you very much." You're welcome, the woman chuckled. Roz walked over to a framed mirror on the wall and studied her new body. It resembled her old body, but the proportions were slightly different. She looked stronger. She felt tougher, and there were other differences. I have no button, she said, feeling the back of her head. And I have no unit number. You've outgrown these things, said Dr. Malavo. If I am not Rosm 7134, who am I? I think you know who you are. The robot's computer brain didn't take long. She looked into the mirror and said, I am Roz. And the old woman smiled and nodded. I appreciate all you have done, said Roz, but I worry that my friends and family will no longer recognize me. Oh, I'm sure you can convince them who you are, said Dr. Malavo. Speaking of your family, there's someone here to see you. Okay, chapter 84. Our next time when we come back, it's called The New Mother. Oh my goodness. I was worried there for a little bit. Were you worried? Did you really think it was Roz that got melted? They made it very, very convincing. I'm so happy that she did not. And now there's someone there to see her. Who do you think is there to see Roz? We'll see tomorrow, starting on chapter 84. Bye, guys.